You probably think Valentine's Day is all about roses, chocolates, and maybe a nice dinner, right? Well, what if I told you the real story is way stranger, a little bit wild, and honestly, so much more interesting than you could ever imagine? Let's peel back the layers on this one.
So let's just start with this bombshell of a question. What if this day, February 14th, the one we've all circled on our calendars, what if it started as something that had absolutely nothing to do with love?
I mean, just look at this contrast. On one hand, you've got our modern version, sweet, quiet, romantic, but its origins, they were anything but. It all kicked off with a loud, citywide festival meant to purify Rome and literally scare off evil spirits. The difference is just wow.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to go way back to ancient Rome and a wild festival that, believe it or not, laid the groundwork for the holiday we know today. It was called Lupercalia, and its purpose wasn't about pairing up couples or sending love notes. Nope, it was all about cleansing the entire city. So just try to picture it, a loud, chaotic, and very, very public party in the middle of February. It's a pretty far cry from a quiet dinner for two, isn't it?
So how in the world did we get from a chaotic purification ritual to a day all about romance? Well, it took a rebellious saint, a poet stuck in prison, and some pretty literal medieval traditions to get the ball rolling.
It really starts to shift with a legend from the 3rd century about a priest named Valentine. The story goes that he totally defied Emperor Claudius II, who had actually banned marriage for young men because he thought single guys made better soldiers. So, by performing these secret weddings, Valentine basically became this early hero of romance.
And then you've got the very first Valentine. And we're not talking about a store-bought card here. We're talking about a poem written under the most dramatic circumstances you can imagine. Charles, the Duke of Orleans, penned it to his wife after being captured in battle. A love letter from a prison tower. Now that's how the Valentine got its start.
And hey, you know that old saying, wearing your heart on your sleeve? Turns out, it wasn't just a metaphor. Back in the Middle Ages, people would literally draw names to find out who their Valentine was, and then they'd pin that person's name to their sleeve for a whole week for everyone to see. Talk about public.
All right, let's fast forward a bit to the Victorian era. This is where the holiday starts to look a lot more familiar, but with a wonderfully complicated twist. Because the Victorians, they gave us the sweet and the very, very sour.
You're not going to believe this, but our modern obsession with Valentine's chocolate, it started as medicine. Doctors in the 1800s literally prescribed chocolate for a broken heart. A chocolatier, Richard Cadbury, saw this cure and had a light bulb moment. In 1861, he created the very first heart-shaped box of chocolates. And just like that, an entire industry was born from heartbreak.
But it wasn't all sweetness and light. The Victorians had a pretty serious mean streak. They invented something called vinegar valentines, nasty, anonymous cards you'd send to someone you didn't like to tell them basically to get lost. They were the original anti-Valentines. I'm not kidding. These cards were so harsh and insulting that they caused a huge public outcry. It got so bad the postal workers would actually refuse to deliver them. Can you imagine a greeting card being so offensive that the post office itself bans it? That was the other side of the Victorian Valentine's coin.
Okay, so let's look at the traditions we know and love today, because their backstories are just as weird and wonderful as everything else we've covered so far. Seriously, you won't believe some of this.
You know those little chalky conversation hearts that say things like, "Be mine" or "True love"? Well, they have a medicinal past too. The machine that first stamped them out was actually invented by a pharmacist to make throat lozenges. It was only later that someone got the bright idea to switch from medicine to candy.
All right, quick pop quiz. When you think about Valentine's Day gifts, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Flowers? Chocolates? I bet most people would say flowers.
But what if I told you the real answer is tied to this giant number, 145 million? What on earth could that be?
It's not flowers or candy, it's greeting cards. An estimated 145 million cards are sent in the US alone every year. That makes Valentine's Day the second biggest card-sending holiday of the entire year, right behind Christmas.
And the date itself has some other amazing connections. Get this, on February 14, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell applied for the patent for the telephone, a device that would connect lovers across any distance. And, my favorite one, every year, thousands of people still write letters to Shakespeare's Juliet in Verona, and a team of dedicated volunteers actually reads and replies to every single one. How cool is that?
So, as you can see, this day is so much more than just another commercialized holiday. It's got this incredibly deep, chaotic, and fascinating history behind it.
I mean, think about the journey this day's been on. It's been shaped by purification rituals, saintly rebellion, poets in prison, medical advice for the heartbroken, and even mean-spirited jokes. It's this incredible patchwork quilt of human history, all sewn together over centuries.
So the next time you see a heart-shaped box of chocolates or a simple card, you'll know the incredible, centuries-long story that's packed inside it. So let me ask you, knowing its wild, rebellious, and often bizarre history, how does that change what this day means to you?